Let's talk about genocides because I'm actually against them. I know that's a hot take in 2025, but there's a group of people, mostly MAGA Trump Putiners, who lie about everything, I would point out, who claim there's a genocide in China. But these same people, if they're really upset about genocide, you would think would be some of the first people to be outcrying and standing up for the people of Gaza against the genocide in Gaza. I am not aware of any of them doing that. I'm not aware of anyone who has a platform that they gained partly from demonizing China and crying genocide, using that same platform to denounce Israel's genocide in Gaza. We have zero evidence that I'm aware of what China is doing, but we have mountains of evidence of the genocide in Gaza, and they've murdered more journalists than in like so many different wars combined before this in suppressing information getting out of Gaza. So there's a lot more genocide there that we don't have evidence of. But we have enough evidence to know that for sure there's a genocide going on in Gaza. We don't know of any such thing going on in China. And more importantly to me, the people who have been so vocal against China are just racist because they're upset about a fake genocide that they created and specifically not upset about a real genocide. On top of that, they're using fake genocide to distract from real genocide, just like Trump is doing in South Africa. To distract from real genocide, they're using fake genocides. This shows that they're not against genocide, they're just against Chinese people, they're just against Arab people, and they're the same people with the same program and all the same beliefs of the people who made the Holocaust against Jewish people in the first place. So what makes you think that after they use you to do their genocide against Palestinian people, they won't use the anger they've stirred up against you for doing it to do genocide against you? Of course they'll go back to their original plan. They're just conveniently using you in the meantime. How you haven't seen this, and overthrown Netanyahu and overthrown Trump and overthrown Putin before even talking about China, I don't understand. But of course, the worst thing China has done, as far as I can tell, is supporting Putin, not reining in Putin. And Putin is the one doing the genocide in Ukraine. And Putin is the one foisting Trump on us to do our genocides here in America. And Putin is the one controlling Netanyahu, doing his genocides there. So to the extent that China is responsible for that, yeah, China needs to be held accountable for genocide. But the people who are trying to focus on China, on a fake genocide or an unsubstantiated genocide, to distract from heavily substantiated genocides, are themselves the genociders. And just because they're turning a blind eye to Israel right now doesn't mean they're not going to turn around. And some of them have already started rounding the corner. Candace Owens and Piers Morgan have already started rounding the corner to next rally the anger against Israel to genocide them again. How people have not seen this coming, just like they turned on all the Cuban and Latino supporters who brought Trump into the office and now are getting deported for it. Somebody's got to stop Trump at some point. We could do it by stopping Putin. Whether or not that involves China or not, I'm not sure, but China should involve themselves and use their influence before getting busted in this for being behind it all once their other dominoes start to fall. So I'm actually against genocide, against all genocides, and it just so happens that they all trace back to Putin. Yeah, they may all trace back to Xi Jinping too, and needs to be held accountable. But either he's extremely stealthy and sly about the genocides he promotes and keeping his hands clean from them, or he's letting other people do it. He is letting other people do it. There is a responsibility to that, but we're all letting other people do it to that degree. He just maybe has the power to stop them more than most of the rest of us. So yeah, there can be plenty of guilt there. But to me, I want to point out that the people who make such an outcry about genocide in China, if they're not at the front of making outcries about these other genocides, then they're part of a plan to use this genocide to not only exterminate people that they're against, but to then turn and exterminate the exterminators. We need to get ahead of this plan and deport the deporters. We need to revoke the citizenship of anybody who's trying to take citizenship away from babies. We need to stop every genocidal attempt Trump is doing, which there's nothing he's doing that's not part of a plan of genocide. So we need to stop everything Trump's doing and stop Netanyahu and stop Putin. Anybody who's doing genocides and lying about it and then trying to distract with fake genocides is a pro-genocider. They've never been against genocide. They've just been racist, and they're using genocide to accomplish their racist ends and to normalize genocide. They're normalizing genocide by only crying out against false and made up genocides, trying to ignore the real ones, and they are the ones responsible for causing the real ones. Let's stop the genocides. Let's stop these evil tyrants. I call it the Pillar Revolution because we can do it from bed, or the Fairy Liberation Front because we're rallying all the forces of nature and art and everything. All spiritual forces are against them. They have no spirit on their side. And the Church of Judas, because we're going to replace Christianity for allowing this to happen. So this is Jesus' plan through the Gospel of Judas, but I wrote the book of Judas and opened the Church of Judas about it. So check that out for replacing all their churches while they're trying to burn down our libraries, schools, and governments. Thank you. Let's stop these fascists. Let's stop the genocides.